Hello and welcome to our podcast and video brought to you by CEO Apparel in conjunction with Kuyasha Media. Now listen, if you only thought there was one way to personify success, then man, today we are going to definitely prove you wrong and change your thinking. Today I am sitting down with a guy who's not a CEO in the literal sense of the word, but he definitely is doing boss things. He goes by the name of Thabo Boom. He is a graduate. He is a postgraduate student. He is currently working for one of SA's top telenovelas, and he's just doing great things, man. So I'm happy to have him sitting with me today. Hello, Thabo.
Hello, how are you? Thank you for
I'm great, thank you. I'm great, thank you. But like, for real, you really are a guy who's doing absolutely great things. You truly are just a boss. Now, one of the ways that you want to be referred to as is you being called, a social activist. And what do you think are the main changes that you want to see changed and fixed with our society?
Starting with what I want to be referred to. I mean, I think I'm a social activist to start with, and I never want to be identified as anything that I do. In as much as I can finish my LLB, I don't want to be called a lawyer. I never want to be called a writer. I never want to be called anything other than the fact that I'm a social activist, because I believe that I've existed prior to these things that I've done before. One of the main changes that I think we need to focus more on the youth, on the young people and their aspirations. I think we need to give people more knowledge. People don't know a lot of things, especially about the entertainment industry and other alternative industries that they can really get into and really make a lot of money. You know what I mean? But I think it's one of the few things that it starts with the little things. I mean, as an activist, you don't necessarily have to be conquering the world and doing the big things. It's the small things that you do with your neighbor, with your friend, and just spreading the information, making sure that people change the way they view things. And I mean, we all have changed the way we think, so it's a continuous process where you're just trying to change people's thinking. Because if I change the way the next person changes, things, you would have changed the way they would approach things, which means that they become more involved. They become the people that they actually aspire to change society.
Now, you're currently studying law. You're also, like I mentioned, working at one of SA's, bigger telenovelas. So how do you plan to use, your education as well as these skills that you've accumulated to change and to fix whatever it is that you see as not so right in society?
I think what I'm learning with every day is that what you study is not necessarily what you're going to do, but what's important is to use it to try and change it in whatever space that you exist in. So, I'm from a BA background before I went to law, and I believe that social justice is something that we continue to do. So the skills that I've learned, I've learned how to write recently. I believe that black people have beautiful stories to tell, they have beautiful ways of communicating with each other, and with the lessons that I can do, I think I want to change the way we view ourselves as black people and tell the stories that are exciting. Black people can be loved, black people can be affectionate. We can have fathers loving their sons in the most passionate ways, but not necessarily to step away from the negatives of the world where we talk about drugs and alcohol and the bad things. But I'm saying black people are not just shades of grey. We can be beautiful. We can express ourselves in a very, very great way. So I would like to use my skills to say that the entertainment industry is not just something you do when you're bored. It can be a platform to go to when you need to cry, when you're feeling depressed, when you're needing ideas to change the world. So we can use whatever mode of the entertainment industry to ensure that we do that.
That's amazing. Now, let's go into entertainment industry. You got a gig. You got this huge gig. After you're just working, you were a student and you continue with your studies, and then now you're getting this huge gig. You're a storyliner as well as a consultant for, this telenovela. How does that come about? Like, how do you bump into an opportunity like that?
I'll be honest with you. When I first came to university, my mom told me get involved. And that's the one thing that I've always done. From my student activism and getting involved with the workers and everything. How it came about was that I met the producer at his son's graduation. So me and his son graduated at the same ceremony. So on stage, obviously being an activist, I had a T-shirt which says that the revolution will be televised. And he liked what I was doing as he was working on a documentary at the time. So he wanted me to be a subject in the documentary. So that's how the relation built up. And I met up with him, and the way I could narrate a story of what had happened during the Fismas Fall, he liked what I had to say, and I started as a consultant. I remember they were doing quite a lot of stories around protests, around free education, and around challenges students necessarily face. So that's how we started. I started correcting stuff and just doing, you gotta start small. Start small. That's why I started.
Is that small? Really? No, that's not small.
In the greater scheme of things, it's a bit small. So anyway, I started there, and I had an opportunity, shout out to the head writer. He just told me, one day he told me, go write a story for these 3 characters. And I felt out of breath, I had never written anything before, but the fact that I had someone that believed in me and that believed I could do it. I went home and I wrote. I didn't know what storylining is at the time. And yeah, fast forward to a year, I'm doing it.
So would you say that people must just try whatever falls onto their laps? Because I don't think you went out there thinking, okay, I want to be a writer and I can write.
I mean, I'm one of the fortunate few, there's a lot of people that try and fight very hard to get into the entertainment industry, and it's not easy to get in. But what I'm saying is, in whatever you're good at, give it your all.
Yeah.
And there are people who are looking for certain things that will identify it in you, whether you know that you can do that thing or not. That's how you get discovered, Not everyone's going to get discovered the same way, not everyone's going to get the same opportunities, but when you're a radio jock, just do it with such passion, because you never know. There might be a writer who's writing about radio, and they might be like, just get it.
I feel like he's like telling me something, because I'm a radio jock and you're a writer, but it's okay, it's fine. But I love what Thabo just said, and I feel like you as the listener as well as the viewer out there also just need to pay heed to that and just pay attention to that. You might not think you have a certain talent, and you might not think that you could ever get into a certain sphere, but maybe if someone sees it in you, then try it out. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Now, Thabo, let's go back to the activism, because you mentioned it. You mentioned the fact that you were in the SRC at some point. If I'm not mistaken, you were the deputy secretary.
Correct.
And during that time, as the boss guy that you are doing boss things, I'm sure that you had to make things happen out of nothing. Tell us about some of the challenges that you went through during that time.
Fismus Fall is one of the most exciting times, and the most
Exciting?
saddest and scariest times.
Yeah.
I mean, we learned a lot about ourselves as individuals. There were people that were involved, and as a collective, I think one thing that I must stress and say is that it was a team effort, and whatever that I could do, that I could be a boss man about, was that I had so much support, and I had people that I could bounce ideas off of.
Yeah.
But I mean, one of the few things was fundraising. I mean, it was one of the most difficult things in the initial stages of Fismus Fall, because I mean, it turns out you're just blocking the road. People are mad. They're not understanding why there's so much congestion.
Yeah.
The parents at home are angry when you're not in class. Why is it that you're running around university?
Yeah.
So trying to communicate the message and telling everyone what we're doing at the time was one of the most difficult things. And I remember Comrade Chara had made me the head of social media, so we were behind the platform and behind the hashtags, talking about Fismus Fall and how it came about specifically at Wits. Trying to get the message across was very difficult. Trying to get people to support it in terms of resources. I mean, we didn't have food because the learning halls were closed. We didn't have water because the university had shut down the water supply. So it was just trying to get out of our comfort zone, because I'm not the best of communicators.
This is a storyline now. This is a person who writes stories, or a person who doesn't communicate properly.
Getting out of my comfort zone to try and tell people what I think, to be patient with them, to educate them about what we're trying to get across was one of the most challenging things. And I learned quite a lot in that, and I think it was a great time. It was a great defining moment for me as an activist, and growing so, because I mean it expanded rather my activism, in that I'm no longer just doing it for the students. I'm no longer just it intertwines and it shows the correlations of struggles within our world. So now I'm about the workers. I'm about whatever space I exist in, Although sometimes it's not a good idea, but I try to make sure that if I see an injustice, I speak about it. If I get beaten for it, well, so be it.
Okay. That's passion right there. Now let's talk about the importance of having a team behind you, because it seemed like you're not where you are just because you walked at it alone, but it's because of the people that you surrounded yourself with. Tell us more about the importance of surrounding yourself with the good people.
Working with the team, you don't just have a lot of people to rely on when you make a mistake, but you have a lot of people that can ground you. I was with an amazing team from my activism. Even now where I work, you have people that view things differently. Working with a team, they can show you why they view things differently. And it changes the way you understand a situation or a topic. Having a great team, it helps in terms of you growing as a person, and you learn more from other people. I mean, we grew from different backgrounds, and some of us, we were very harsh and wanted to do quickly. We have people that, like, I remember Mateo always used to tell me, pull yourself towards yourself. He's a very calm individual, whereas if I was doing it alone in a meeting, I would have, said certain things that were not supposed to be said. But having a team that understands your strengths and your weaknesses is one of the most important things, that your weaknesses are never told. Not to say that you're not weak or you don't have blind spots, but to say that there's a team, there's someone who can cover for you when you make a mistake. So it's quite important. And you grow quicker when you're with the team, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, you get to, if there's a goal that you do with 3 people, is better than when you're doing it yourself.
I hear you. Now let's go back to working. With you working, I'm sure that there's a balance that needs to be struck. There's working and then there's LLB on the side. And LLB is not easy. You can't tell me that it's easy. You're out here just chilling. How do you strike that work-life balance? Or work-student balance, yeah.
I think one of the great foundations was that my first few days or first few weeks at Wits, I got involved. There was a student protest and I got involved, and that taught me how to balance, not the protest but the activism. The student activism helped me to manage my time, because you wear different hats at different times. I think there's no balance, and I know people think there's a balance. I don't think there's a balance. You just need to know which side must tilt. You know, if you're submitting tomorrow, you need to focus on your school. If you have work due at 12, focus on that, and that's how you do it, taking it one day at a time. If you view it as it's work, it's school, and it's your personal life, it'll overwhelm you. I just take it one day at a time. On Monday, well, I have work, I go to work. If I have a submission, I do half. You know, you need to make sure that you prepare. Time management is of utmost importance. If you can't manage your time, well, hey, you're gonna fail at both. You know, you're gonna be jack of all trades and a master of none.
Okay, I love that. Time management is key. And then you said something which is very interesting to me. You said that you're passionate about the entertainment industry and you want to be part of its growth. Do you think that there's room for growth in the entertainment industry?
There is. I mean, Hollywood today is still growing, and Hollywood is massive. South African industry, I mean, if you want to make it in the entertainment industry, I mean, ideally you come to Joburg. The growth would be that you can make it in Pretoria and become a megastar in Pretoria or in wherever you're from, in Kuruman or whatever. That's what the growth I'm talking about. And we need to understand the entertainment industry in a different light, in a saying that we need to have everyone knowing that you don't necessarily have to be a performer, you don't necessarily need to be on screen to be in the entertainment industry. There are people that are great directors, great producers, that are, you know, consultants, and that are doing different other things. And I think the growth part that I'm really interested and passionate about is to make sure that our people get to have a good living from the having a job in the entertainment industry. I mean, you have celebrities that come in, make money, and lose it afterwards. You know what I mean? The unsustainability of the industry is what I'm really trying to look at, to say that when we are creating content, how can we best benefit from it, and to make sure that our generations, I mean, it's not fair to say that I was a performer or I was a whatever, and if I have a child, that child will be poor. Why is it that a lawyer can have a prominent career, you know what I mean, and not in the entertainment industry? And that goes with our laws, that goes with how they're being taxed, that goes with how they're being paid. And I think that equitability is one of the things that we need to talk about. People need to get the money they deserve for the content they create. People need to continue to earn from that particular content if anyone else is earning from it. So I think it's educating ourselves, is putting the academia that we've learned at the university that has been so difficult into the entertainment industry, to make sure that artists that just come with the talent get to have the security and they can benefit from it. So I think that's how I would want to do. I mean, I may not practice law, but I think I want to find a way of integrating the law that I've studied and my activism to bring it, to make sure that people can actually find a living, and a good living, and can live comfortably and have financial success in the entertainment industry, irrespective of what role they play.
And then what do you think is in Johannesburg that we could move to all the other places in South Africa to make, you know, our industry grow? And is it realistic to think like it can happen? I
think I like the last part of it being realistic. I think we need to be cognizant of where we are in our history. We come from a history where quite a lot of the majority was excluded financially and in many other ways. So the reason Joburg is easier for people to make is because people here can afford certain things. I live in Braamfontein. I can go to a show now down the road from where I live, so I don't have to travel far. So that's why an artist will come to perform in Joburg as opposed to performing in Kuruman, because people in Kuruman, they focus, and I'm not saying everyone is poor, but I'm saying the majority, people are focused on making sure they have food, they have this and they have that. And I think it's the more as a country we grow in an economy and we have more young professionals and whatever, we just need to find a way to invest back in the industry, supporting our local acts. What I know for a fact is that South African can support the entertainment industry. You look at the way we consume international things. I mean, the international market is booming in the country. However, it's not necessarily the same when it comes to local content. I think the growth will have to be there. And I'm saying it can be done. You know, you can go to Pretoria and have, there's many people where I'm from, a celebrity where we're from. And he performs, he's big, and we can support. And I think it just has to take a community saying that we are deliberately supporting this person, not because we know him. He's talented, he's big. But the added bonus is the fact that he's a person that we know, and we
Yeah.
think that the story he's telling is just a reflection of our everyday life.
And let's talk about the quality of content, because like as a South African, we want to support. We want to watch all these telenovelas. We want to watch all these great movies that are being produced and being written by Thabo. But what about that quality? What do you think we as South Africans still need to do to produce great quality South African stories?
We have to define what's a South African story. If we stop comparing ourselves with, we'll never make a show that's like House of Cards. Not because we can't, but because it's not in our interest to tell a story like that, or whatever content which is international. We need to be able to tell, or be interested in going to a cinema and watching a movie about a Soweto corner, guys doing what we know and what we love and what we're passionate about. Not everything has to be flashy. Not everything has to be colorful. If it's telling an authentic story, which a person can be sitting at home and be like, I identify with that thing, or I identify with this particular story, I think for me that's good enough. The one thing that we're lacking, however, when it comes to support, is the advertising and the marketing behind it. We have a lot of movies that come out that are brilliant. I've seen amazing films in this country. My top 5 favorite films are from South Africa. Right? They're from South Africa. It's because we just lack the marketing and the finances, rather, the financial muscle to tell everyone that they create a hype around it. I would even say 50% of international films are not great, but they know how to create a hype around it and create excitement around it. You saw it with the recent release of Black Panther.
Yeah.
Before it came out, everyone was talking about Black Panther. People that went to watch such movies were not necessarily interested in the genre or interested in the content. They were just excited about being part of whatever is in the hype. You know what I mean? So there's many films that are coming out. What you do wrong, and in my personal opinion, what you do wrong is that we announce 2 weeks before the film comes out.
Yeah.
There's not enough marketing, there's not enough advertising, and we rely on the fact that we must watch local content. It comes across as though we're being bullied into watching it because it's local, which is not the case, because we have great talent. We have amazing talent in this country. We have amazing storylines which are well written, well produced, well directed. The issue is just how do we sell it to our own market?
Yeah.
Literally, if we can know how to sell a proudly and brilliantly shot South African movie to a person who's in Soweto who doesn't like the genre, then we've won. Because you have people who are in Soweto who don't care about Star Wars but will go watch it because everyone is like, they feel
talking
that
about
part of our community. Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. And I think that's where we're going to end it off.
Thank you so much.
Because that was just a well of wisdom. Thank you so much, Thabo, for speaking to us. And if you are going to take at least one thing, if out of the many things that Thabo has spoken about, you only just want to take one thing out of that, is the fact that we need some great marketers out there. We need people who are going to show and make sure that South Africans see and are in love with the movies that we're shooting. And if you think that you can do that, then maybe Mr. Entrepreneur, you should go out and do it and have that vision and go about and do it. So thank you so much, Thabo, and thank you for listening as well as watching our video and podcast brought to you by CEO Apparel as well as Kuyasha Media. Check you out next week.